On the day I scheduled an abortion, I suddenly could see bullet comments. The bullet comments said I was the early death ex-girlfriend of the male lead in an apocalyptic novel, and I was about to be bitten to death by a zombie doctor. I threw away the appointment slip, activated the space bracelet the male lead gave me, and stocked up to survive. When the original female lead tried to harm me with her night order, I smiled, sorry, but this time, my baby and I are the protagonists. Deng Wanqing sat on the cold hospital waiting chair, nervously twisting the hem of her clothes with her fingers. The air was filled with the smell of disinfectant, making her already unsettled stomach, queasy from morning sickness, even more uncomfortable. She had scheduled an abortion surgery for 3:30 p.m. the next day, thinking of her boyfriend, who had suddenly gone missing. Her heart ached sharply. 3 days ago, she mustered the courage to text him about her pregnancy, but her message was met with silence. No reply at all. Did he not want this child, or was he simply unwilling to take responsibility? In her despair, she could only make this difficult decision. She had just graduated from college and could barely take care of herself. How could she raise a child? Oh wow, the classic plot is starting. The supporting female character is about to meet her doom, Wanqing, run, don't get an abortion, you'll die, Spoiler alert, tomorrow, halfway through the surgery, the doctor turns into a zombie, and the supporting female character gets bitten to death. So tragic. Deng Wanqing suddenly looked up, startled and uncertain, glancing around. Who was speaking? The voice appeared directly in her mind, accompanied by lines of text flashing rapidly, just like the bullet comments on a video website. Hallucinations, auditory hallucinations from too much stress. She shook her head vigorously, trying to dispel these strange sounds and words. The nurse called her number, and she took a deep breath before standing up and walking toward the consultation room. Don't go, supporting female lead, listen to the barrage comments advice. Can't blame her entirely for the abortion, it's because the male lead, Gu Chen, suddenly went missing. Gu Chen is so wronged. He awakened his superpower and was unconscious for days. As soon as he woke up, the apocalypse had already begun, and he immediately went to find the female supporting character. Too bad, the female supporting character died, so the original female lead could step up and have a sweet romance with the male lead. Gu Chen, unconscious, superpower, apocalypse, original female lead. These keywords struck Deng Wanqing's heart like hammers. She froze at the door of the consultation room, her face deathly pale. Gu Chen wasn't ignoring her on purpose. He was unconscious. Tomorrow, the apocalypse was coming, and she was just the early death girlfriend of the male lead in an apocalypse sweet romance novel. Her existence was only meant to make way for the original female lead. The overwhelming amount of information made her dizzy. What the hell? The supporting female lead looks terrible. Did she hear that? No way. She doesn't have the third eye open. Deng Wanqing watched the barrage of comments scrolling through her mind, and a bold idea arose. She tried silently thinking to herself. Who are you? She responded, oh my god. The female supporting character can see us. The barrage instantly exploded, scrolling so fast it was almost impossible to read. A bug. The female supporting character has gained self-awareness, girls, what should we do? Should we help her? Help her? No way. The official pairing is with the original female lead. The supporting character must die, but if the supporting character doesn't die, how will the plot develop? Kinda curious. The comments section was in a chaotic argument. Deng Wanqing, however, gradually calmed down, whether this was a miracle or an illusion. Now that she knew the truth, she couldn't just sit and wait for death. She immediately turned around and left the hospital without hesitation. She would not have an abortion. She would stay alive and wait for Gu Chen to return. The supporting character left. She changed her mind. Interesting. The plot has deviated. Deng Wanqing stared at the successful appointment confirmation on her phone, her gaze growing resolute. The apocalypse was set to arrive at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, then she had to have everything ready by noon tomorrow and obediently wait for Gu Chen at home. Why has the female supporting character suddenly become so motivated? Deng Wanqing chuckled inwardly, responding to the barrage comments. Because I can see all of you, confirmed. She can really see, supporting female lead. Since you can see, we'll tell you a secret. That jade bracelet Gu Chen gave you is a space artifact. Just drip blood to activate it, comma, that's right, in the original plot, you died, and the bracelet was picked up by the original female lead. Hurry up and try it, jade bracelet. Deng Wanqing lifted her wrist, looking at the token of love Gu Chen had given her, that translucent, emerald green bracelet. She had always loved it and never took it off. There's actually space. She hesitated no longer and immediately went home, found a needle, carefully pricked her fingertip, and smeared the drop of blood onto the jade bracelet. The drop of blood was absorbed instantly, and a subtle connection was established between her and the jade bracelet. She saw a space of about 10 cubic meters, hazy and gray, but it truly existed. Did it succeed? Female supporting character, it worked. Deng Wanqing was ecstatic. Thank you all, Yuri welcome. Go, side character, stay alive, outshine the original female lead. Traitors, you're all traitors. Support the official pairing. The barrage comments started arguing again. But Deng Wanqing had no time to watch, staring at the balance in her bank account and the still calm city outside the window. She felt an unprecedented sense of urgency. Time is running out. She must act immediately. Deng Wanqing first rushed to the nearest large supermarket. She pushed two of the biggest shopping carts and began stocking up compressed biscuits, instant noodles, canned food, vacuum-packed jerky, bottled water, various candies and chocolates. As long as they were non-perishable and high-calorie, she didn't even look at the prices and just loaded them into the carts. Wow, the female supporting character has gone into full-on shopping frenzy mode. Be sensible, Wanqing. Space is limited. Stock up on essentials first. I know, Deng Wanqing replied in her mind as she stuffed things into the car. We need plenty of water, food that lasts, and medicine. She moved on to the medical supplies section, cold medicine, fever reducers, anti-inflammatory drugs, stomach medicine, gauze, alcohol, iodine, and vitamin tablets, especially prenatal folic acid and nutritional supplements. She grabbed a large pile. That's right, medicine is crucial. It'll be more valuable than gold after the apocalypse. Don't forget daily necessities, toilet paper, feminine products, lighters, candles. Deng Wanqing took the advice and swept through the hygiene and outdoor supplies sections. Toilet paper and sanitary pads piled up like small mountains, along with lighters, high-intensity flashlights, batteries, multi-tools, thick clothing, blankets, and even several power banks and solar charging panels. At checkout, the cashier and surrounding customers stared at her in astonishment. Unfazed, Deng Wanqing maxed out 2 credit cards and, under the curious gaze of onlookers, struggled to load dozens of large shopping bags into the pre-arranged Hualala small truck. In others' eyes, you're just a bizarre shopping addict. Who cares? They'll know when the apocalypse comes. Returning to her rented apartment, Deng Wanqing locked the door, drew the curtains, and began transferring supplies in batches into the jade bracelet space. She discovered that with a mere thought, items in her hand could be stored inside, and retrieving them was just as easy. Time was frozen within the space. Food went in exactly as it was and came out the same. This was incredibly convenient. She made several trips back and forth to the supermarket, nearby pharmacy, and hardware store, until she had nearly maxed out her credit card and filled the space to about 70 or 80% capacity. Only then did she breathe a slight sigh of relief. She collapsed onto the sofa in exhaustion, gently stroking her still flat belly, and whispered softly, "Baby, don't be afraid, Mommy will protect you, and Daddy will be back soon, woo-woo, why am I feeling a bit moved, go for it, supporting female lead, we believe in you, pft, what's the use of hoarding so many supplies, you're still going to die tomorrow, aren't you, shut up, haters." The female supporting character now has a space and is prepared. She's definitely going to survive. Deng Wanqing ignored the pessimistic comments. She began organizing the remaining supplies, leaving out some perishable fresh fruits, vegetables, and milk. She cooked herself a bowl of noodles, added 2 eggs, and forced herself to eat. She needed to maintain her strength. Night fell, and the city lights came on, presenting a scene of peace. Who would have thought that in just over a dozen hours, this place would turn into hell? Deng Wanqing checked the doors and windows, then moved the furniture behind the door for a simple barricade. She hugged Gu Chen's pillow, inhaling the familiar scent that lingered on it, her heart filled with both fear of the unknown and longing for her beloved. Gu Chen, you must wake up safely and come find us soon. Gu Chen is about to wake up, the countdown to the apocalypse has begun, hang in there, female supporting character, your husband is coming online soon. Accompanied by the chatter and arguments of the bullet comments, Deng Wanqing tossed and turned, spending the last night before the apocalypse in a half-asleep, half-awake state. The next afternoon, Deng Wanqing stared nervously at the clock on the wall. When the hour hand pointed exactly to 3:30, the originally clear sky outside the window seemed to darken for an instant. Then, faint screams and the sound of car crashes came from afar. It really has come. Deng Wanqing ran to the window and carefully lifted a corner of the curtain to look outside. The street was in utter chaos. Pedestrians were running frantically, some were pouncing on others and biting wildly. Blood stained the pavement red, a wave of nausea rose in her stomach. She fought back the discomfort, pulled the curtain shut, and retreated to the corner of the room. Though she had mentally prepared herself, witnessing this bloody scene firsthand still made her tremble with fear. The apocalypse has begun. So terrifying. Don't be afraid, side character. Stay hidden, wait for the male lead. Zombie virus outbreak spreads rapidly. Luckily the female side character didn't go to the hospital. Deng Wanqing was immensely grateful for seeing the barrage comments, which helped her escape a deadly fate. She covered her ears, trying to block out the increasingly clear sounds of roars and screams outside. Over the next 2 days, Deng Wanqing relied on the supplies in her space and stayed indoors without stepping out. She dared not turn on the lights or make loud noises, surviving on dry rations and bottled fruit each day, constantly on alert for any sounds from outside the door. Occasionally, sounds of banging and screams came from the apartment building, but fortunately, the floor she lived on seemed temporarily safe. On the 3rd day, Deng Wanqing began to feel dizzy and weak, with her forehead also burning slightly. She had a fever. Oh no, the supporting female character has a fever. Could this be a sign of awakening her superpower? In the original novel, the supporting female character died early, and there was no mention of whether she had any superpower talent. Maybe it's just a common cold. Immunity tends to drop in early pregnancy. A glimmer of hope rose in Deng Wanqing's heart. If only she could awaken her superpower. But remembering she was pregnant, she didn't dare take any medicine recklessly. She could only drink plenty of water and use a wet towel for physical cooling. Hoping it was just a false alarm, she took her temperature. It was a low-grade fever. The barrage of comments eagerly offered advice, telling her to rest more. However, the weakness brought on by the fever made her miss Gu Chen even more. Gu Chen, where are you? Are you safe? She murmured to herself, touching her bracelet. Just then, hurried footsteps and knocking came from outside. It wasn't the aimless banging of zombies, but a rhythmic, urgent knock. Wanqing, are you in there? It's me, Gu Chen. It was Gu Chen's voice. He really came. Deng Wanqing's eyes welled up with tears. She practically scrambled to the door, moved the furniture blocking it, and tremblingly opened it. Standing outside the door was the man she had been longing for day and night. Gu Chen looked travel-worn, his face somewhat pale, but his eyes were sharp. There were some dark red bloodstains on his clothes, but he was otherwise unharmed. Gu Chen, Deng Wanqing threw herself into his arms, tears streaming uncontrollably. Gu Chen held her tightly, his arms wrapping around her as if he wanted to merge her into his bones. I'm sorry, Wanqing, I'm so sorry. When I woke up and saw your message, the network was already down. I was so afraid something had happened to you. His voice was choked with sobs. Suddenly, he felt that the delicate body in his arms was unusually warm. He quickly touched her forehead. You have a fever. Just a mild fever, nothing serious. It's okay, you're here now. Deng Wanqing nestled in his arms, feeling an unprecedented sense of peace. The male lead is here, they're reunited. Gu Chen's likability is maxed out. He came to find his wife the moment he woke up. There are a few people following behind the male lead. It's Bai Qianqian, the original female lead, and her night squad. Deng Wanqing then noticed that not far behind Gu Chen stood 3 men and 1 woman. The girl in the white dress, who looked pure and lovely, was staring at her and Gu Chen with a complex, unreadable expression. So this is the original female lead mentioned in the bullet comments. By Qianqian, Gu Chen scooped Dang Wanqing up horizontally, gently placed her back on the bed, and carefully tucked her in. His eyes were full of heartache and self-blame. It's all my fault, leaving you to face the fear alone and even getting sick. He turned to Bai Qianqian and the others at the door and said, my girlfriend has a fever and needs rest. We might have to stay here for a few days and wait until she recovers before heading to the safe zone. Bai Qianqian immediately put on a sweet and considerate smile. It's okay, Brother Gu, we understand. Sister's health is the most important. The zombies around here have been mostly cleared by you, Brother Gu, so it's quite safe. We can wait. The three men behind her didn't say a word, but their eyes clearly showed a hint of impatience. Dang Wanqing leaned against the headboard, quietly observing Bai Qianqian. So this was the so-called chosen one. She looked pure and harmless, but deep in her eyes, there seemed to be something else. Hidden, the green tea scent is overwhelming, and calling her, sister, who's your sister, Gu Chen did an excellent job, wife comes first, the knight's order doesn't look too happy, do they think Wanqing is dragging them down? Gu Chen couldn't care less about what others thought, all his attention was on Dang Wanqing. He fed her water and used warm water to wipe her face, his movements as gentle as if he were handling a rare treasure. Dang Wanqing basked in Gu Chen's care, feeling sweet inside, but she didn't forget about the important matter. When Gu Chen leaned in close, she whispered in his ear in an extremely low voice, Gu Chen, I might have awakened an ability. Gu Chen's body jolted as he looked at her in shock. Dang Wanqing continued in a low voice, also, I have a secret to tell you, about a bracelet space. Gu Chen's expression instantly turned serious. He gave a slight nod, signaling that he understood. That night, after everyone else had gone to rest, Gu Chen carefully checked the doors and windows before returning to Dang Wanqing's side. Dang Wanqing selectively told Gu Chen about being able to see the bullet comments, activating the space, and stockpiling supplies, omitting the part about her destined early death as the female supporting character, and the original female lead, simply saying it was an accidental discovery. After hearing this, Gu Chen felt both fear and relief. He tightly held Dang Wanqing's hand. Wanqing, you did very well. This spatial ability is extremely important, but promise me, don't tell anyone else, including those outside. Having a treasure invites trouble. In the apocalypse, people's hearts are unpredictable. Dang Wanqing nodded obediently. I know, I only trust you. Gu Chen kissed her forehead. Don't worry, from now on I'll protect you and the baby. Let's not touch the supplies in the space for now. We'll use what I've found for the time being to avoid arousing suspicion. Take good care of yourself and the pregnancy. I'll handle everything. Under Gu Chen's meticulous care, Dang Wanqing's low fever soon subsided. The ability awakening that the bullet comments speculated about did not occur. It seemed to be just a normal pregnancy reaction or a result of being startled. In the past few days, Bai Qianqian has been finding all sorts of excuses to get close to Gu Chen, bringing him water one moment, asking for tips on killing zombies the next. The admiration and infatuation in her eyes were almost undisguised. Gu Chen, however, was like a wooden block. He either politely turned her down or brushed her off with a few words. Most of the time, he stayed by Dang Wanqing's side, doing everything he could to find her delicious food, keeping her complexion rosy and healthy. Even more charming than before the apocalypse, Dang Wanqing noticed Bai Qianqian's little schemes. She sneered inwardly but remained composed on the surface. Occasionally, when Gu Chen was taking care of her, she would softly act spoiled. Honey, my back aches. Honey, I think the baby just kicked me. Every time this happened, Gu Chen became so nervous that he fussed over her anxiously, watching as Bai Qianqian's nails nearly dug into her palms. Haha, Wanqing has a bit of a green tea talent in her. Well done, Gu Chen is a perfect model of a devoted husband and soon-to-be father. Case closed, Bai Qianqian's face turned green with anger. The night squad is also feeling sour. Their goddess is throwing herself at someone, and the male lead couldn't care less, what normal man would ignore his pregnant girlfriend to pay attention to some random flower outside? The atmosphere in the team became subtle. Bai Qianqian's knights saw that Gu Chen only had eyes for Dang Wanqing and ignored their goddess, which made them hold a grudge. This resentment extended to Dang Wanqing. whom they saw as weak and a burden, making them even more dissatisfied with her. Dang Wanqing couldn't care less about what these people thought. As long as Gu Chen and the baby were safe, that was all that mattered. Under Gu Chen's protection, she peacefully nurtured her pregnancy, growing increasingly pampered and spoiled. After a few days of rest, Gu Chen decided to set out for the safe zone. Along the way, Gu Chen displayed formidable combat strength. He had awakened the lightning-type ability. With a wave of his hand, bolts of lightning flashed, and zombies fell in droves. He single-handedly shouldered most of the fighting, but every time the battle ended, the first thing he did was return to Dang Wanqing's side, making sure she was safe, handing her water, and wiping her sweat with meticulous care. The male lead's combat power is off the charts. So cool, spoiling his wife like that. I'm so envious, tsk. Look at the jealous and resentful looks from the knights. Bai Qianqian watched Gu Chen's attentive care for Dang Wanqing. Burning with jealousy, she believed that her appearance and abilities were no worse than Dang Wanqing's, and she even possessed the rare healing ability. Why couldn't Gu Chen see her? That day, the team temporarily set up camp in an abandoned shopping mall. After Gu Chen cleared the surrounding zombies, Dang Wanqing leaned against a soft cushion, drowsy and on the verge of sleep. Gu Chen noticed a mother and baby store in the corner of the mall. Although it had been rummaged through, there might still be something useful inside. Thinking of Dang Wanqing's increasingly prominent baby bump, he planned to prepare more supplies for her and the baby. Bai Qianqian keenly caught where Gu Chen's gaze was directed. She immediately approached, feigning innocence, and said, "Brother Gu, look over there. Isn't that a baby store? Maybe there are some leftover milk powder or little clothes. Sister needs them now." Gu Chen's heart stirred. He glanced at the sleeping Dang Wanqing and said to Bai Qianqian and the others, "I'll go take a look. You stay here and keep Wanqing safe." Bai Qianqian patted her chest and assured him, "Brother Gu, don't worry. Go ahead, we'll definitely keep sister safe." Gu Chen had no doubts and, thinking he would go and return quickly, headed to the baby store alone. However, the moment Gu Chen's figure disappeared around the corner, the innocence on Bai Qianqian's face instantly turned malicious. She gave a signal to the several night members and said in a low voice, "Move out." They had planned it all along. Taking advantage of Gu Chen's concern for Dang Wanqing, they lured him away, then attracted a nearby zombie horde, and opened all the passage doors, leaving the sleeping Dang Wanqing with no escape. As long as Dang Wanqing died, Gu Chen would eventually be hers. Dang Wanqing was fast asleep when she was suddenly jolted awake by violent banging on the doors and piercing roars. Female supporting character, wake up, something's wrong. Bai Qianqian and the others have lured the zombies here, they've opened all the doors. Run, it's over, the zombies are coming in. Is the female supporting character doomed, no way, my ship can't have a bad ending. Dang Wanqing's eyes snapped open as the barrage of comments scrolled frantically, bringing despairing news. She was about to call out to Gu Chen, but then remembered he had been sent away by Bai Qianqian. At that moment, the door of the temporary camp was already smashed open, and terrifying, grotesque zombies swarmed in. Dang Wanqing's heart nearly stopped beating from sheer terror. She instinctively wanted to hide, but zombies were everywhere. Where could she flee? Was she really going to die here today, along with her unborn child? In her moment of despair, something strange happened. The zombies that rushed in seemed not to see her at all. They brushed right past her, wandering aimlessly and howling around the room, completely ignoring her. A living person. Dang Wanqing was stunned, frozen in place, not daring to move an inch. What's going on? Are the zombies blind? Why aren't they attacking the female supporting character? I get it, it's an ability. The female supporting character awakened something like scent isolation or presence reduction. During her last fever, the zombies can't detect her, the chosen one. This ability is a life-saving skill. Dang Wanqing also realized it. She had truly awakened an ability, although it couldn't attack. It had saved her and her child's life at a critical moment. She didn't dare to be careless. Taking advantage of the zombies not noticing, she carefully moved under a sturdy office desk, curled up, and tried to minimize her presence outside. The growls and footsteps of zombies grew louder, and the entire camp was completely overwhelmed by the horde. She tightly covered her mouth, suppressing any sound, while frantically calling out Gu Chen's name in her mind. Gu Chen found a few unopened cans of formula and some soft baby clothes in a maternity and baby store. He was just feeling pleased when he suddenly heard an unusually dense chorus of zombie growls coming from the direction of the camp. His face turned pale, and a strong sense of unease surged within him. Wan Qing, he dropped the items he had found and rushed back at full speed. As he neared the camp, he ran into Bai Qianqian and her group, who were preparing to drive away, whereas Wan Qing, Gu Chen blocked the front of the car, demanding harshly, his gaze as cold as a knife. Bai Qianqian put on a panicked and sorrowful expression. Brother Gu, I'm sorry, the zombies came too suddenly, and we couldn't save sister. She might already be. That's right, Brother Gu, there were too many zombies. We could barely protect ourselves. A member of the night group chimed in. Gu Chen felt his vision go dark, his heart clenched as if being violently squeezed, the pain making it hard to breathe. His Wan Qing, his child, Bai Qianqian looked at Gu Chen's pained expression, feeling secretly pleased. Yet her face showed sorrow as she said, Brother Gu, please accept my condolences. Sister Deng was just an ordinary person, and in the apocalypse, there was no helping it. From now on, let me take care of you. If you want children, I can also. Shut up. Gu Chen suddenly lifted his head, his eyes bloodshot, violent lightning crackling around him. It was you deliberately caused Wan Qing's death. Anger and grief consumed his reason, and he launched an attack on Bai Qianqian and her group like a madman. The raging thunder terrified Bai Qianqian, who screamed incessantly. The Night Order fought desperately, protecting Bai Qianqian as they fled in panic, but still lost two of their members. Gu Chen did not give chase. He looked as if his soul had been lost, rushing back in a daze to the camp that had already been overrun by zombies. Wan Qing, Wan Qing. He roared his beloved's name as he recklessly unleashed lightning, madly slaughtering the zombies, as if he felt no pain or fatigue. Tears mingled with blood as they streamed down his face. He couldn't believe that the love he had fought so hard to find was gone just like that. Deng Wan Qing, hiding under the table, had lost all feeling in her legs. Just as she was on the verge of despair, she faintly heard Gu Chen's shouts. The pain and choking sobs in his voice broke her heart. Gu Chen, I'm here, I'm under the table, she shouted with all her might. Gu Chen, who was in the midst of a frenzied killing spree, paused momentarily, thinking he was hallucinating. Gu Chen, it's me, Wan Qing, I'm not dead. This time, he heard it clearly. It really was Wan Qing's voice. Gu Chen was overjoyed, following the source of the sound and clearing a path with lightning. He rushed over and indeed found Deng Wan Qing curled up under the office desk, completely unharmed. Wan Qing, he carefully lifted her out and held her tightly in his arms, his voice trembling as tears streamed down again. You scared me to death. I thought I'd never see you again. Wu Wu, this man, who had fought through hordes of zombies without flinching, now wept like a child, holding the treasure he had almost lost. Deng Wan Qing, also trembling with fear, hugged him back as she cried, I was terrified too, Wu Wu, I thought the baby and I were done for. The two embraced and wept. It took a while before Gu Chen managed to steady his emotions and began checking if Deng Wan Qing was injured. Honey, are you okay? Is there anywhere you feel uncomfortable? Is the baby alright? Deng Wan Qing shook her head and told Gu Chen about the harrowing scene just now and the possibility that she had awakened a special ability. After hearing this, Gu Chen felt both heartache and relief. Great, this is really great. This ability saved you. Then, his expression darkened. It was Bai Qianqian and the others who deliberately lured the zombies here, wasn't it? Deng Wan Qing nodded, still shaken. That's what the comments said, and they admitted it themselves. Gu Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. I let them get away just now. Next time I run into them, I will show no mercy. He regretted not killing them outright earlier, as he was too anxious to find Wan Qing. This time, the grudge is set in stone. It's a fight to the death, the original female lead has completely turned dark. There's no redeeming her now. Support Gu Chen and Wan Qing in seeking revenge. Kill them. Gu Chen held Deng Wan Qing and left this dangerous place. He found a car that was still drivable, carefully placed Deng Wan Qing in the passenger seat, and began their true journey of survival in the apocalypse as a duo. Gu Chen silently set a goal in his heart. He must find Bai Qianqian and her night order and take revenge. Having learned from past lessons, Gu Chen became more cautious. He no longer trusted anyone easily, focusing all his energy on protecting Dang Wanqing and improving his strength. Dang Wanqing focused on nurturing her pregnancy, occasionally using the information from the bullet comments to stockpile useful supplies in advance. With Gu Chen, they traveled slowly, stopping frequently along the way. Though their pace was not fast, they were well prepared and encountered no trouble. Gu Chen took excellent care of Dang Wanqing. Apart from her noticeable baby bump, her face had actually become rounder, and her complexion was rosy, a true miracle in the apocalypse. A few months later, they finally arrived at the largest Hope safe zone in the south. Entering the safe zone required inspection and registration. When the registrar learned that Dang Wanqing was pregnant, they showed a surprised expression. In the apocalypse, the birth of a new life was extremely rare. However, not long after settling into the safe zone, Dang Wanqing noticed, alerted by the barrage of comments, someone she didn't want to see. Bai Qianqian and the remnants of her night order. They had actually arrived at the safe zone earlier than Gu Chen and his group, and had ingratiated themselves with Xiao Kuei, the deputy head of the safe zone, even rising to become minor leaders in the management. Bai Qianqian also spotted Gu Chen and Dang Wanqing. A flash of shock and venom flickered in her eyes, but she quickly put on that hypocritical smile and walked over with her people. Brother Gu, Sister Dang, I never thought I'd see you here. How wonderful. Bai Qianqian feigned enthusiasm. You've just arrived at the safe zone. If you need any help, just say the word. I'm currently working under Deputy District Chief Xiao, so I have some influence here. Gu Chen shielded Dang Wanqing behind him, his eyes cold. No need for your concern, we'll handle our own affairs. Bai Qianqian was met with a cold reception, her expression turning somewhat unpleasant, but with a flicker in her eyes, she smiled again and said, Brother Gu, with your strength, it's a waste to stay at the bottom. Why not join our team? I can recommend you to Deputy District Chief Xiao as the team leader, with excellent benefits. After all, Sister Dang is about to give birth and needs a stable environment and medical resources, doesn't she? Her words carried both obvious temptation and a veiled threat. Gu Chen glanced at Dang Wanqing's swollen belly. For the safety of Wanqing during childbirth, they indeed needed the medical conditions of the safe zone. Killing Bai Qianqian outright would be easy, but it would offend Deputy District Chief Xiao Kuei, causing trouble and making it difficult for Wanqing to rest peacefully during her pregnancy. He suppressed the urge for immediate revenge and said expressionlessly, I'll consider it. Bai Qianqian, thinking he was tempted, shot a smug look at Dang Wanqing before leaving with her people. Pfft, bitch, how dare she come to seduce him, why doesn't Gu Chen take direct action? Is he afraid of the deputy district chief, it's probably for Wanqing's sake when she gives birth. The hospital in the safe zone is indeed important. That evening, Gu Chen discussed with Dang Wanqing, Bai Qianqian and Zhao Kuei have colluded and gained some influence in the safe zone. Taking direct action would easily cause trouble and affect your delivery. Gu Chen held Dang Wanqing's hand. I want to pretend to join them, earn their trust, and find opportunities to take them down one by one, avenging us. Dang Wanqing was worried, but she also understood that this was the safest option for now. She trusted Gu Chen. All right, I believe you, but you must be careful. The baby and I can't lose you, don't agree. Female supporting character. The male lead is courting disaster, trust. Gu Chen, he knows what he's doing. It's all for his wife and child. The next day, Gu Chen found Bai Qianqian and expressed his willingness to join her team. Bai Qianqian was overjoyed, thinking she finally had a chance. Thus, Gu Chen began going on missions with Bai Qianqian's team. He was exceptionally skilled and performed outstandingly in every task, yet he would always, accidentally, cause members of Bai Qianqian's night order to be killed or severely injured. He executed his actions flawlessly, leaving no evidence to be caught. Dang Wanqing spent most of her time at home resting during her pregnancy. The live comments kept her updated on Gu Chen's situation in real time. Female supporting character. Your husband today, accidentally, let one of Bai Qianqian's followers get scratched by a zombie, well done. After Gu Chen joined Bai Qianqian's team, He quickly became the de facto core of the team due to his formidable strength. However, every time he went on a mission, he would just so happen to cause casualties or severe injuries among Bai Qianqian's Night Order. After a few such incidents, Bai Qianqian's already limited team suffered heavy losses. Bai Qianqian could no longer sit idly by. It had not been easy for her to climb up through Deputy District Chief Xiao Kuei, and the Night Order was her foundation for survival. If things continued like this, she would end up as a leader with no followers. She had to speed up her efforts to win Gu Chen over. Therefore, under the pretext of celebrating Gu Chen's official induction and enhancing team cohesion, she insisted on holding a welcome banquet. Gu Chen knew this was a trap, but to avoid alerting the enemy, he still agreed. He instructed Dang Wanqing to stay home obediently, lock the doors and windows, and not open them for anyone. Although Dang Wanqing was worried, she nodded obediently. After Gu Chen left, she was home alone, touching her growing belly, feeling a bit uneasy. Don't worry. Female supporting character, the male lead must have a plan. I have a feeling that White Lotus has bad intentions. Will she make a move on the female supporting character? Very likely, a diversionary tactic. Sure enough, just as the barrage of comments rolled by, Dang Wanqing heard the faint sound of lock-picking. Her heart tightened, and she immediately recalled Gu Chen's instructions, quickly hiding in the bedroom closet, holding her breath. Here they come, they're really coming, Female supporting character, stay hidden, don't make a sound. Several dark figures slipped in and began rummaging around. Where is she? Didn't they say she was at home? Search, she must be hiding. Deputy District Chief Xiao is waiting. Dang Wanqing's heart pounded with fear as she tightly covered her mouth. Fortunately, the group only did a rough search and didn't find her in the wardrobe. Assuming she had gone out, they left cursing, just as Dang Wanqing breathed a sigh of relief. The barrage exploded again. Oh no, the female supporting character, Bai Qianqian, drugged the male lead. She put it in the wine, holy crap. She even tried to force herself on the male lead, Gu Chen is highly alert and didn't fall for it. He's now soaking in cold water, Bai Qianqian is furious and said she's already given the female supporting character to Xiao Kuei. She's trying to provoke the male lead. Dang Wanqing was both shocked and furious. Bai Qianqian was actually so vicious. At the same time, at the welcome banquet, Gu Chen noticed something strange about the drinks, used an excuse to go to the restroom, and forcefully suppressed the effects of the drug with cold water. Bai Qianqian followed him inside and tried to pester him, but Gu Chen pushed her away. Gu Chen, don't be ungrateful. Bai Qianqian's face twisted. Do you really think Dang Wanqing, that bitch, is still innocent? She's probably enjoying herself in Deputy District Chief Xiao's bed right now. Ha ha ha. Gu Chen's eyes burned with fury. What did you say? I said, I had her tied up and sent to Deputy District Chief Xiao. If you give in to me now, I might still put in a good word for you. Ha ha ha. Gu Chen instantly erupted in fury, his lightning ability surging out of control, violently blasting Bai Qianqian and the knights who had rushed over at the sound. Like a rampaging lion, he charged out of the banquet hall and sprinted toward Deputy District Chief Xiao Kuei's residence. No plan, no restraint, was more important than Wanqing's safety. Xiao Kuei's residence was a relatively luxurious standalone house within the safety zone. At that moment, Dang Wanqing was tied up and thrown onto the bed in the bedroom. In the end, she had been found by the kidnappers who had turned back. Xiao Kuei walked in reeking of alcohol, leering at Dang Wanqing, who was struggling on the bed, with a lascivious grin. That girl Bai Qianqian sure knows how to send a gift. Pregnant, haven't tried that yet. Dang Wanqing forced herself to stay calm and pleaded, Deputy District Chief, I'm pregnant, please, let me go. Pregnant, perfect, something new to try. Xiao Kuei lunged at her, seizing the moment as he took off his coat. Dang Wanqing, with her bound hands, fumbled for a glass ashtray on the nightstand. Just as Xiao Kuei pressed down on her, she mustered all her strength and smashed the ashtray into his head. Bang, a dull thud sounded. Xiao Kuei winced in pain, let out a miserable cry, and slapped Dang Wanqing hard across the face. Bitch, how dare you hit me, Dang. Wanqing saw stars from the slap, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, but she clenched the broken shard of glass tightly. ignoring the searing pain from her cut palm, and swung it wildly at Zhao Kuei. "Get away, don't touch me," she screamed, as a sharp cramp began to twist in her stomach. Zhao Kuei, enraged, grabbed her hair and tried to force himself on her. Just at that critical moment, boom, the bedroom door was blasted open by raging thunder and lightning. Gu Chen stormed in like a demon from hell. Seeing the scene before him, Wan Qing disheveled, her cheeks swollen, blood at the corner of her mouth, clutching a blood-dripping piece of glass in her hand, while Zhao Quan was pressing down on her. Gu Chen's sanity completely snapped. "Zhao Quan, I'll kill you." Gu Chen's eyes burned red, lightning coalescing into a dazzling spear, thrusting straight at Zhao Quan's back with the force of utter destruction. Before Zhao Quan even had time to react, he was pierced through by the powerful lightning, instantly charred black and dead on the spot. Wan Qing, Gu Chen rushed over, kicked away Zhao Kuei's corpse, and carefully held the trembling Dang Wanqing. "I'm sorry, I'm late, I'm sorry." Seeing Dang Wanqing's bloody hands and pale face, his heart ached so much he could barely breathe. Dang Wanqing, upon seeing Gu Chen, finally let go of her tense nerves and burst into tears. "Gu Chen, my stomach hurts so much." "The baby, don't be afraid, I'll take you to the doctor, you and the baby will be fine." Gu Chen carefully untied the restraints on her hands, wrapped her in his own clothes, picked her up, and frantically rushed to the hospital in the safe zone. "Oh my god, Gu Chen is so handsome, one move, instant kill, the deputy district chief deserved to die, baby, please don't let anything happen." The chief of the safe zone soon learned of the news. Zhao Kuei already had a long record of misdeeds and had incurred widespread public resentment. To some extent, Gu Chen's actions could be considered ridding the people of a scourge. Moreover, since Dang Wanqing was the victim and was pregnant, the district chief only gave Gu Chen a verbal warning and a symbolic punishment before dropping the matter. After an examination, Dang Wanqing was found to have mainly suffered from a threatened miscarriage and superficial injuries. The fetus was temporarily unharmed, but she needed to rest and recuperate properly. Gu Chen stayed by her side in the hospital, never leaving. Looking at Dang Wanqing's bandaged hands and pale sleeping face, his hatred for Bai Qianqian reached its peak. Gu Chen took the initiative to find the still shaken Bai Qianqian and her remaining subordinates. He suppressed his murderous intent, feigning exhaustion and compromise. "Zhao Kuei is dead, and I've been punished. As for what happened before, perhaps I was too impulsive. Survival in the apocalypse isn't easy. We need to unite." Bai Qianqian, seeing Gu Chen take the initiative to soften, and hearing that Zhao Kuei was dead, realized she had lost her backing. Needing a strong protector like Gu Chen, she immediately believed him to some extent. She forced out tears. "Brother Gu, I'm so glad you've come to your senses. Before, I was bewitched. It was Zhao Kuei who forced me. Let's cooperate from now on and secure a foothold in the safe zone." Gu Chen sneered inwardly but remained expressionless. There's an important mission next. Reconnaissance on the movements of the new zombie horde west of the city. We need all our elites. Get ready. We set out at dawn tomorrow. Bai Qianqian, suspecting nothing, quickly agreed. The next day, Gu Chen took Bai Qianqian and her last 3 trusted followers to the west of the city. There were indeed zombie hordes there, but Gu Chen, relying on sporadic hints from the barrage, knew that a huge trap lay hidden there, an abandoned chemical plant that could easily trigger a massive zombie outbreak. He deliberately led the team into the core area of the chemical plant. "Brother Gu, something doesn't seem right here. There are more and more zombies." Bai Qianqian finally felt fear. Gu Chen stopped in his tracks and turned around, his face no longer bearing any trace of warmth, only a cold, murderous intent. "Of course it's wrong, because this place was specially chosen as a graveyard for you." "Gu Chen, what do you mean?" Bai Qianqian and her subordinates' faces changed drastically. "It means the game is over," Gu Chen said coldly. "From the moment you deliberately lured the zombie horde, trying to kill Wan Qing, you were doomed to die. The only reason you've lived until today is that I needed to find a suitable place to make sure you vanish without a trace." With that, Gu Chen wasted no more words. His powerful lightning-type ability erupted fully, not to attack Bai Qianqian and her group, but to violently pierce through several key storage tanks in the chemical plant. A pungent odor spread through the air, the massive explosions and energy. Fluctuations instantly attracted all the zombies within a radius of several kilometers. They surged in like a tidal wave from every direction. "No, Gu Chen, you can't do this," Bai Qianqian screamed in terror. Her subordinates were also thrown into complete panic, trying to break out, but they were already surrounded by the zombie tide, relying on his familiarity with the terrain and his extraordinary speed. Gu Chen had long since easily escaped the core area. Standing on a high vantage point, he coldly watched the hellish scene unfolding below. Bai Qianqian and her night order were quickly overwhelmed by the endless horde of zombies amidst despairing screams and curses. Villain group wiped out, so satisfying, what goes around comes around, finally avenged Wan Qing and the baby. Gu Chen looked down, his eyes devoid of any emotion. With these scourges eliminated, he and Wan Qing could finally live a peaceful life. After getting rid of Bai Qianqian, this major threat, no one in the safe zone dared to provoke Gu Chen and Deng Wanqing anymore. The chief district administrator, impressed by Gu Chen's competence and integrity, officially appointed him as the new deputy district administrator, responsible for the safe zone's defense and external search missions. Under Gu Chen's meticulous care, Deng Wanqing gradually recovered, and the wound on her palm healed, leaving only faint scars. Gu Chen doted on her endlessly, ensuring that any fresh fruit or nutritional supplements he could find were reserved for her first. Deng Wanqing grew plump and radiant, her complexion excellent. A few months later, Deng Wanqing gave birth to a healthy daughter in the safe zone hospital, naming her Gu Nianqing, symbolizing Gu Chen's eternal longing and cherishing of Deng Wanqing. The birth of little Nianqing brought boundless hope and joy to this despair-ridden apocalypse. Gu Chen became a complete doting father, reluctant to let go of his daughter, and would return home to be with his wife and child as soon as he finished handling official matters. Deng Wanqing watched her daughter sucking her fingers and Gu Chen clumsily but earnestly preparing formula, a happy smile spreading across her face. Though the apocalypse was harsh, she had a loving husband, a lovely child, and a warm home. Woo, so heartwarming. This is the ending an apocalyptic novel should have, Xiao Nianqing is so cute, she looks just like Wanqing, our male lead and female supporting character CP has come to a perfect conclusion. The bullet comments still scroll lively every day, sharing Deng Wanqing's happy daily life, occasionally even spoiling where good supplies are to help them avoid risks. As days go by, Xiao Nianqing gradually grows up, begins to babble, and softly calls out, "Daddy," and "Mommy." Under Gu Chen's management, the safe zone becomes increasingly stable, gradually restoring some order and production. One day, after coaxing her daughter to sleep, Deng Wanqing habitually wanted to see what the comments were saying, only to find her mind completely clear. The words that had accompanied her for so long had vanished without a trace. She paused for a moment, then felt a sense of relief. Perhaps it was because her story with Gu Chen had come to a perfect end, and there was no longer a need for an audience. She walked to the window and looked out at the simple yet vibrant safe zone, and at Gu Chen's tall figure directing construction in the distance. A gentle smile curved at the corners of her mouth. "Goodbye, strangers," she whispered softly in her heart. "Thank you for your help. From now on, it's just our own life." After hearing this story, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. We look forward to hearing from you.